Thank you very much for joining us again on the program. Mozambican police has admitted that the murderers of an election observer killed on Monday in the country was done by its officers. Anastancio Matavele was shot dead as he left an election training session in the southern Gaza province on Monday. Authorities in Mozambique say 5 men armed with assault rifles shot him 10 times before fleeing in a car which crashed during the during the getaway. The reason for his killing remains unknown. Human Rights Watch had earlier warned that the escalating violence in Mozambique cast a dark shadow on the country's elections, which is now 5 days away. 4 candidates are in the race for the presidency. Competition is mainly, however, between incumbent President Felipe Nyusi, who's contesting for a second term in office, and against Renamo's Osufo Momadi. Ruth.
Jerry, while criticism is mounting everywhere after the death of this observer, reportedly killed by the police, the Maputo authorities are reassuring. During a meeting with observers, the government promised to guarantee the security of the election observers will be deployed during the general election on 15th October throughout the country, and especially in the north, where armed groups are attacking frequently. The head of Mozambique's diplomacy also said that any situation that could temporarily prevent access to certain areas will be communicated officially.
Déclaré que toute situation qui pourrait temporairement empêcher l'accès à ces zones sera communiquée par des voies officielles.
Joining us now via Skype is Professor Adriano Nuvunga. Professor Adriano Nuvunga is from the Center for Democracy and Development in Maputo, Mozambique. He's with us to weigh in on the current situation in the country. I'd like to thank you very much for joining us on the program, Professor Nuvunga. First off, the murder of Anastancio Matavele has shocked many, but it's not the first incident of violence in Mozambique, especially prior to this to the forthcoming election. What does his death, however, tell us about the atmosphere under which this vote is going to take place on Tuesday?
The electoral environment here is marred by violence. On the one hand, we have the more general political violence which has been taking place prior the electoral period, and now the election violence with aspects of the use of the state machinery to violate human rights, including killing of key civil society activists, particularly those who are involved in the elections. So the meaning of this is that of a regime, the political party in office is trying at all means to intimidate the people who are interested in ensuring that the election is free and fair.
Professeur Nuvunga, il y avait, on va dire, beaucoup d'espoir en cette élection qui
Prof, we know that hopes are high that this election will help consolidate peace and increase democratic gains, especially after the peace deal. So how would you gauge this impact?
Quite the opposite. We are highly disappointed to realize that although a third peace agreement was signed in 6 August, violence has not stopped. As I'm speaking, there is a military junta in the central part of the country that was supposed to have surrendered the use of guns since there was the signing of the peace deal, but that has not yet happened as people are being killed in connection to that. We see clear signs of democratic deterioration with key indicators of authoritarianism taking place. So it's quite unfortunate that at the sixth election, we're not moving towards democratic consolidation, but quite the opposite. We are moving in the direction of democratic decay with a violation of human rights.
Mozambique is a resource-rich country, and investors are waiting on the outcome of this exercise of the elections. And even as the government seems to be getting everything in place for a credible poll, there is also a splinter group of Renamo party supporters that is opposed to the election. Could you tell us how high are the stakes here?
I think the stakes are so high. On the one hand, we have a dominant party, Frelimo, which it sees its meta-narrative, post-liberation meta-narrative, not appealing to voters. As you know, the voter registration was rigged in key parties, including of the country, including particularly Gaza, where this election observer was murdered. So it clearly suggests that we might have everything in place to have a good election, but also not to have a good election, depending on how the electoral authorities will manage this election. And of course, there is a huge expectation from the business communities, particularly around the oil and gas, to see how the election will be free and fair, because it is that secures the stability which is much needed for the business to boom.